It's Friday, April 17th, and this is now on HNN.
I'm under arrest?
Yeah, for violating the governor's rules and orders.
The story causing outrage on social media. A woman from the mainland arrested for allegedly violating the 14-day quarantine. This is a temporary home for homeless opens amid the pandemic.
So we're providing them a home.
We still have to be cognizant of the 6-foot distance between people, the 10 people gathering.
The number of daily coronavirus deaths has hit a new high, but there are some positive signs. I'm Michael George with the debate over when to reopen the country.
The last thing we can do is relax.
China is facing increased scrutiny and skepticism over its reporting of coronavirus cases and deaths. Coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jonathan, your director-producer here, alongside Mahealani. She's in for Ashley today. You're watching This Is Now on HNN. We want to start today with breaking news from the Department of Health, some new numbers to pass along.
That's right, Jonathan. Hawaii is reporting 12 new coronavirus cases Friday, bringing the statewide total to 553. Of the total number of cases, 390 people have recovered and have been released from isolation. Now here's the county-by-county breakdown. Oahu has 380, Maui County has 102, and that includes the 2 on Molokai, 21 on Kauai, and 44 on Hawaii Island. Now, no new deaths were reported Friday. Hawaii's death toll from the virus stands at 9.
All right, I want to talk about another story that's getting just huge buzz on social media. A homeless woman from the mainland arrested yesterday by HPD. A lot of you are talking about this on our Facebook group. She's accused of violating the state's 14-day quarantine. Our Rick Daysog reports on how the mayor is saying this proves the quarantine needs some work.
So what's going on first?
We're placing you under arrest.
I'm under arrest?
Yeah, for violating the governor's rules and orders.
Arona Lopez recorded her own arrest near the IHS shelter. She arrived from Phoenix on Monday and ignored the required 14-day quarantine. Instead, the aspiring social media comedian wound up at this homeless camp in Waimanalo. She angered nearby residents by posting videos about her living conditions.
I think it was selfish and irresponsible of her, and then to blatantly disregard it on her social media platform was just unbelievable.
Waimanalo neighborhood board member Kukana Kamatoth was among the many Windward residents who were tracking Lopez's whereabouts on social media and urging police to arrest her.
She traveled all over the place, undetected, until it was brought to our attention, which puts the lives of my community members at risk.
The mayor says she slipped through the cracks by listing a P.O. box for airport screeners instead of a real address, which no one checked out.
What should have happened when they did that is they shouldn't have been allowed out of the airport, and they should have been put on a flight back to the continent where this woman came from.
On her YouTube videos, Lopez says she has not been infected by the coronavirus and that she's the target of a cyberbullying campaign.
And I'm still abiding by the rules. I haven't been anywhere, haven't been out, nothing. I was in my tent. I went to get a shower. Same place I've been getting a shower, and there was no issue. They took my temperature, all of that. It was fine.
Because Lopez's bail has been set at just $500, the mayor and others worry that she'll be back living on the streets soon. Rick Daysog, Hawaii News Now.
The city plans to restart homeless sweeps on Oahu next week. Areas will receive 24-hour notice. The city stopped the sweeps last month following CDC guidelines that homeless camps should not be removed unless housing units are available. Now the city has a small tent village near Ke'ehi Lagoon for homeless people to quarantine themselves. And there's also the Ka'ahi facility in Iwalei. And Jonathan, public health officials are especially concerned about the possibility of infections in crowded homeless camps. So the center in Iwalei is stepping up to offer a safe place for homeless people who've been discharged from the ER or they're just too sick to go back on the streets. And I got an exclusive look inside and filed this report.
This is a fascinating report. Let me play it out for us.
The Department of Health says we must wear an N95 mask to be here. Now, this is the facility in Iwalei where homeless individuals who are waiting their COVID-19 test can stay, or if they've tested positive. Wearing their medical suits of armor to protect against an unseen and fast-moving threat are the first responders of healthcare for the homeless.
These people are most dedicated to which the people that we serve here.
Treating those left behind.
These folks are often forgotten about.
People who may be sick with coronavirus.
These are folks that would normally otherwise be in their home isolating but don't have a home to go to, so we're providing them a home.
Dr. Christina Wang is medical director of the Temporary Quarantine and Isolation Center in Iwilei, a partnership between the state, city, and several community organizations.
Thank you so much.
The center screens everyone who comes inside and has served 20 houseless individuals who are waiting for COVID-19 test results. People like Frank, who's staying in one of these apartment rooms in isolation while he waits for his result. Under medical supervision, we stayed outside.
How are you feeling?
I had a fever, 102. So they took me into the clinic.
Frank told us he wasn't worried for now.
If the test comes back and it shows positive, yeah. But so far it looks good.
Well, Frank, I know you're still waiting for your test, but we're hoping and praying for you, okay, Frank?
Thank you.
Okay, you take care.
Dr. Wang says chronic disease, mental health issues, and substance abuse compound the challenge.
It can be a very complicated scenario to present to them about this infectious disease outbreak.
These healthcare professionals truly are doing amazing work. Just for me being here, I'm starting to feel my anxiety raise just from being in this area. But if you imagine, these healthcare professionals are here day in and day out.
Hours later, we learned Frank's test was negative, and so far, none of the patients have tested positive.
So, Mahia, you just said there none of the patients tested positive. You were really close quarters there. Your nerves sort of up when you were in a position like that?
Well, I was there with the medical director and the State Department of Health, and so they observed the whole thing, and so I was under their guidance. But I have to admit, I was nervous, and I could feel my anxiety get higher and higher just because this is a very new situation. And I know I said this in the story, but these healthcare professionals who are on the front lines, either in hospitals or in facilities like this is something they do every single day. And that was really, really striking to me, despite my own personal fears.
So how are the officials that run the facility there recruiting people, transporting them safely?
Well, obviously all of the individuals don't have a home, so they may live in a tent somewhere, and so there's actually a placard system that they have. Well, one of the things that the leaders there said is they're not doing mass testing or forcing people to go there. They really have to come there on their own, and so there's a placard system by these state and city leaders that if there is a red placard, that means the homeless individual says, yes, I need some help. Green means I'm okay. And so they're using this gentle approach to trying to get people to come in there for services and treatment.
And you were mentioning to me you were wearing an N95 mask in there. We don't usually wear those when we're out in the field. We stick to our cloth mask. But since it was a healthcare setting, you wore one, and they gave you some advice, and you brought it here, right?
Right. I actually had my N95 mask from way back when. Remember the lava flow?
Oh, yeah.
So I had my
N95
N95 mask from then, and it's been in my drawer since then. So yes, I brought this to the story a couple days ago. And then what was, I must admit, was pretty eye-opening to me is after we were done, they said, okay, put your N95 mask in this paper bag, seal it up, write the date, and don't open it up for 5 days. So you can reuse your mask after that. And then my photographer and I, AJ, we were told to go home immediately and shower and change into new clothes. And so I had to throw my clothes into the laundry.
All right, great reporting there. We posted that entire story on our HNN digital platforms. Just head to our website or HNN app, and you can check it out. In the meantime, I want to switch gears just a bit, and we're going to talk about some national news coverage. The coronavirus continues to spread across the country, and now some of the nation's governors are moving towards easing some of the restrictions that have been put in place. Michael George reports from Times Square on how that's all unfolding.
With the coronavirus crisis still gripping much of the nation, beaches in northern Florida are reopening to the public.
We still have to be cognizant of the 6-foot distance between people, the 10 people gathering.
But a return to normal in states like New Jersey,
The last thing we can do is relax.
and New York are still a way off.
We're not out of the woods. We have to go forward.
While hospitalizations declined Thursday, New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo says the state's death toll remains high. On Friday, Cuomo lashed out at President Trump for leaving it up to the governors to reopen their states without more federal funding.
He's doing nothing. All he's doing is walking in front of the parade. But he has nothing to do with the timing of the parade.
Here in New York, the mayor announced additional testing sites opening today and next week, specifically for at-risk communities.
People with those pre-existing conditions who are 65 or older and live in those particularly hard-hit areas.
Former CDC Director Dr. Tom Frieden says testing will be key to carrying out the multi-phase guidance issued by the president.
Boxing it in is a crucial step to reopening as soon and safely as possible.
There are signs of hope across the nation, including scenes like these, where COVID patients who have recovered are discharged to cheers. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
That is really hopeful to see. I saw some local video of a patient being discharged and everyone was clapping and cheering, and it was really heartwarming to see.
I know, chicken skin moments. I was leaving work on Wednesday. I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about how the different hospitals around the country are discharging people, and they were saying some of the hospitals, especially on the East Coast, have sort of different theme songs. Like in the Bronx, they're playing New York, and one hospital is playing Journey, Don't Stop Believing. So they're playing those over the PA system as people are discharged. So,
hey, music is part of healing, definitely.
Yes. All right, so let's talk about a little bit more dismal news, actually. The unemployment numbers continue to rise here locally.
That's right, Jonathan. Hawaii has the highest percentage of unemployment in the country. It's 37%, according to new data from the state labor department. And that means more than 1 in 3 workers here has lost a job because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the chart shows the spike in March as the tourism industry came to a grinding halt. The state is now shifting its focus from approving claims to sending checks. Prior to the pandemic, the unemployment office would process about $451,000 on average this Wednesday. Now, this past Wednesday, the office processed $2.6 million in claims. Federal funds are coming in, and Labor Department Director Scott Murakami says he's working on securing loans to ensure that funding does not run out.
All right, here at the H&N Digital Center, we have resources from CNN, CBS, NBC, all over the world. Reporters are stationed, and we want to check in with some of them. CNN has Nate Robinson. He's in the UK. He's going to start off our team coverage here as we take you around the world, giving you a number of different updates of how different countries are dealing with the pandemic. Let's start with him.
Well, the government, of course, has been under a lot of pressure to give an indication of how it will end the current lockdown, what its exit strategy is. We got our first indications of that from the government today. The Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, also the first Secretary of State for the country, Dominic Raab, laid it out. 5 points. Point number 1, that the health service can cope, meaning that they've got enough critical care beds. Secondly, that there is a sustained and measured decrease in the number of deaths. Thirdly, that there is reliable data, and I think that's an important point, reliable data that the number of infections are going down. So what the government is telling us here is that this is going to be science-led. The fourth thing, and this is something the government's been criticized for failing on so far, failing to have enough personal protective equipment, PPE, and failing to have enough tests to test the presence of the virus. The government says the fourth point is they must know that they have adequate and capable amounts of PPE and tests available. And the fifth point they say, and again, this is a very important one, that the National Health Service, the health service, can cope with any eventuality, that whatever whatever the government does to get out of the current lockdown situation doesn't create a second wave, a second spike of infections that would overwhelm the health service. So those are the 5 points the government's laid out. Very clear. For now, that lockdown is going to stay in place till the 7th of May. It'll come up for review then in 3 weeks. Nick Robertson, CNN, London.
Here in China, they are revising the death toll. Wuhan city officials added 1,290 new death cases to its total number. That's a 50% increase. And it comes as China has faced increased scrutiny and skepticism over its reporting of coronavirus cases and deaths. And as other countries, including the U.S., see their numbers far exceed those from the original epicenter, CNN reported extensively on the early claims of cover-up and underreporting, some telling us that their loved ones were never tested and died after experiencing coronavirus symptoms, and they were instead marked as severe pneumonia cases. In revising their numbers on Friday, Wuhan city officials say they did so to show accountability to history, to the people and the victims, as well as to ensure open and transparent disclosure of information and data accuracy. But the new figures are still met with heavy skepticism given the increased distrust with China's early handling of this outbreak. David Culver, CNN, Shanghai.
After weeks of infighting and threats, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has fired his health minister, Luiz Henrique Mandetta. The outgoing minister was a major proponent of social isolation in Brazil. He supported governors when they closed schools, closed businesses, and in some cases mandated sheltering at home. But that put him at odds with Bolsonaro, who has repeatedly downplayed COVID-19 as nothing more than a little flu, and who's insisted that the economic fallout from these quarantine measures could be worse than the virus itself. Bolsonaro spoke to the press, calling the ministerial change a consensual divorce.
We discussed the current situation of the ministry and the pandemic. It was a very productive and cordial conversation in which we closed a cycle of the health ministry.
Mandetta also challenged the president's insistence that malaria drugs were the solution to the COVID-19 crisis. The decision to change his minister comes as the virus spreads quickly through Brazil. We're seeing in major cities the emergency units are filling up fast. In the northern Amazon region, authorities warn that the health system is already collapsing. But while governors are announcing measures to control the spread, Bolsonaro has been going out visiting bakeries and greeting his supporters. Mandetta is being replaced by an oncologist, Nelson Teich, who's close to Bolsonaro, but who's also publicly supported these social isolation measures. So at this point, it looks like we'll see some ratcheting down of the political tensions, but not necessarily any major policy changes. Shasta Darlington, CNN, Sao Paulo.
I'm Oren Lieberman, and on Thursday, I stepped into the coronavirus intensive care unit at Tel Aviv's Sourasky Medical Center. A process that required me to cover nearly every inch of my body in protective equipment for my own safety and for the patient's safety. This ICU treats the most critical cases at the hospital 24/7. Israel's mortality rate from coronavirus has hovered around 1%, one of the lowest in the world, because of social and travel restrictions and because of units like this.
I'm Fred Pleitgen in Berlin, where Germany says it's now pushed the reproduction factor of COVID-19 below 1. That means here in Germany, one infected person infects less than one other infected person, and that's significant because it means that the social distancing measures are pushing the virus back. The Germans say that means that they are able to loosen some of the restrictions that have been in place here.
Here in South Korea, the number of patients who have recovered from coronavirus only to test positive once again is still rising. 163 so far, according to Korea's CDC. And they've retested positive on average, they say, just under 2 weeks after being given the all clear. But the range is wide, anything from 1 day to 35 days. Now, I spoke to the deputy director of the KCDC, and he admitted there is so much they still don't know. But there are 6 cases that they have fully investigated at this point, and they say there's no evidence of live virus within the body, which means it could be one of 3 other things, according to the KCDC. It could be weakened immunity of the individual. It could be a testing error, or it could be the remnants of the virus are testing positive once again. The KCDC is investigating and says it hopes to have more in about 2 weeks. Paula Hancock, CNN Seoul.
All right, that was an update from around the world. We still got one more update to get to. We want to talk about Italy, right, Mahia?
That's right. Continuing our Europe look, Italy continues to register a few thousand new cases of coronavirus cases daily, even as authorities in parts of the country's hardest hit areas seek to ease lockdown restrictions. Health ministry officials say there were 3,500 new cases since a day earlier, raising Italy's overall tally of known infections to 172,434. Now, Italy has Europe's highest death toll of 22,745. The country is in its 6th week of a national lockdown. Now, the governor of Italy's hardest hit area of Lombardy wants factories to resume on May 4th, but virus experts are cautioning any return to action must be gradual to avoid a flare-up.
And for our podcast listeners here, we're looking at video right now on the streets of Milan where workers are literally disinfecting the streets with what I think I read was chlorine mixture. They're out there working hard to keep them disinfected. All right, we want to switch now to some other headlines. There is a federal prisoner that is now, pretty famous federal prisoner, who's now out from behind bars and in quarantine. Chris Martinez has a wrap-up of all the other news making headlines today.
President Trump's former personal attorney Michael Cohen is reportedly getting out of prison because of the coronavirus outbreak. Cohen is serving a 3-year term for lying to Congress and violating campaign finance laws. A source familiar with his case told CBS News he will serve the rest of it at home after a 2-week quarantine period. The Federal Prisons Bureau has been releasing some inmates in an effort to slow the coronavirus's spread. A professional bicyclist in Italy is using his skills to deliver medicine in his hard-hit hometown in Lombardy. There's no pharmacy in Dave Martinelli's village, so every day he rides his bike to the nearest one, a 6-mile round trip. He says the distance is nothing to him, and he's happy to help the people who've supported his cycling career. Dr. Anthony Fauci has become a household name since the coronavirus pandemic began. A bobblehead with his likeness is now available from the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame. For each sale, the museum gives $5 to the American Hospital Association to buy masks for healthcare workers. Sales have already generated $150,000 in donations. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
I like that bobblehead there. I do.
He's got a claim to fame. He's a national infectious disease expert, but also he's a national symbol and a national icon right now.
A lot of people are saying good things about him, and I don't think he ever thought he would have a bobblehead doll.
I don't think so. He served many presidents, and now he's got a bobblehead doll.
That's what it takes. All right, back here at home, some news regarding college admission.
That's right. Hawaii Pacific University, is joining an increasing number of colleges easing admissions requirements in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, the university announced it will drop the requirement that applicants submit standardized test scores like the SAT and ACT. This will apply for the upcoming fall 2020 semester. School officials say they're trying to be more accessible and fair to students who may be facing obstacles to preparing adequately for the tests.
That takes one bit of stress off those seniors who are going through so much right now, missing on their graduation and just wondering how this academic year is going to end up.
Absolutely. And I've been speaking to some of the university professors about the dropping of the standardized tests, and some of them are saying this is a good thing because some people just do not test well. And I didn't test very well. Neither did you.
I think colleges do, and I know they are. A lot of them have moved away from that, looking more at like essays and what you've actually done as far as community work and other extracurricular work. But hey, maybe this will make a big change for better. Testing out some new things. All right, we're going to go to our new segment we call Checking In. It's your stay-at-home stories. We're talking to anyone and everyone who has something to share because so many of you do have a story. Today we talk to a local makeup artist who is literally at a standstill with her career after the stay-at-home order went into place. All right, today we're checking in with Risa Hoshino, who is a well-known makeup artist from here in the Aloha State, travels the world doing her craft. Risa, what's the situation of your industry right now?
Well, since I'm a makeup artist, I touch faces, and because of that, for sanitary reasons, it is completely at it's standby right now. Nobody is working in our industry, and I think we shouldn't be. So we're all at home.
And you were telling me you were literally on a job pretty much, and you had work lined up, but it was canceled. What happened
Everything.
there?
So I was on a 3-day job, and they were from the mainland, and they were shooting on this island because it's beautiful, and they wanted the Hawaii background. And day one, actually, at the end of day one of the shoot, this was right after Europe wasn't traveling, or they weren't letting people in or out of Europe, and because a lot of the people in production are not from Hawaii, and they were worried about not getting home, they halted the entire job. And we don't know when they will, if they will redo it again or they will continue the shoot. But for now, it's completely at a stop. And then all of the jobs that I had lined up are canceled as well. And hopefully we'll resume.
And you mentioned something when we were talking earlier that I didn't even think about, but a lot of hair and makeup jobs and styling jobs revolve around the wedding industry around here. What's that situation like? No one's been married.
Yeah, everybody canceled their weddings as well. So I had a few bookings in April, and they are canceled. And I'm starting to hear cancellations in May as well.
And then with your job having to be in such close proximity to people, like you said, you're touching people's faces. Do you have any concern that it might be even, while some things might start to open, your job, since it is such a close quarters type thing, that it might have to wait a little bit longer?
Yes. Yes. And the other thing that, is going to be harder for us, at least for makeup artists like myself, is that a lot of the work is coming from bigger corporations that want to do promotions for their companies. So they're going to have money in their marketing, and they're not going to be spending money on a photo shoot right after the quarantine. I don't think they're going to try and save money by not doing that. So that's the one thing that's a little bit scary for us. People are going to continue to get married, I'm sure. So that's going to pick up again, hopefully, sooner than the other jobs that I do. So yeah, as a makeup artist, it's kind of hard.
One of those careers you don't normally think about would be impacted so deeply by this shutdown, but certainly has, like so many other people in the entertainment business. I know Lisa Kubota did a story on that earlier in the week, and all those shows we see in Waikiki or on the cruise ships, gone.
And there's a residual effect. I mean, even with a makeup artist, there's the beauty industry, the hair cutters. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Jim Mendoza did that story yesterday about the home haircuts, which I'm going to explore this weekend maybe.
Yeah, so you're going to get a quarantine buzz cut or a pandemic buzz cut?
I'm going to get the Wayne's World flow beat. I don't know. Well, Hallmark's getting into a new business, I would say.
That's right. Hallmark is giving away 2 million thank you cards. The greeting card company says it's a way to help people share their appreciation of the heroes in their lives. Hallmark has a form on its website where people can request the free cards. Hallmark says it will send a 3-pack of gratitude cards to everyone who requests them until they run out. It's available to people living in the U.S. and Canada. And what's really amazing about greeting cards and just traditional mailing, I've actually gotten some in the mail, and I've sent a couple, and it's because people have more time, and it's really it's old school, but it's great.
I'm all about bring back the pen pal too. I loved getting a letter when I was a kid from like a friend. It could be a good school project. Doesn't all have to be done on Zoom, folks. All right, are you this sort of brings something to mind. Are you just want to get out of this tragic news cycle? So many of us are craving those uplifting stories, so we're going to try to do our best here at This Is Now to bring you some good medicine at the end of our show, and that's where we're going to take it over to Laura Podesto, who has today's segment, Good Medicine.
For years now, I've been wondering, why is there not a news show dedicated entirely to good news?
Actor and director John Krasinski has launched a YouTube show dedicated entirely to making people feel a little bit better these days. Episode 1 of his Some Good News network has 16 million views and counting. What started as a pair of neighbors near Madison, Wisconsin blasting the song Jump Around on their block a few weekends ago has turned into a statewide movement. Dozens of radio stations across Wisconsin play the song every Saturday at 3 in the afternoon.
I think Harry is always he's really always trying.
An artist in Missouri is using his talent to make a colorful statement about hope. Craig Thomas painted this mural of fictional wizard Harry Potter trying to cast a spell on the coronavirus. And abroad, the sound of resilience. The bell in the South Tower of Notre Dame tolled Wednesday to mark the first anniversary of the fire that gutted the cathedral. As Earth Day approaches, the lagoon city of Venice is beautiful in its emptiness. Rows of gondolas bob on the shore, and the water is clear in the vacant canals. The pigeons have St. Mark's Square all to themselves. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Wow, those are some pretty stark, almost eerie images from Europe there at the end. All those places you're used to seeing, those crowds of folks gathered around there and just completely empty streets, those Venice canals especially.
Wow, and it's the fact that it's actually getting cleaner. You see some of these areas that are normally extremely polluted, so it looks like Mother Earth is taking a bit of a breather from all the activity.
Yeah. All right, we got a lot coming up for you this afternoon here on H&N. We have a 2:30 press conference coming up with the governor and other state officials. Maheo, what are you working on for this evening?
Well, I'm continuing to look into the Maui Memorial situation where there was a serious outbreak, according to the Department of Health. And tonight we're going to be hearing from more ICU nurses on a new round of testing because of what they say was someone who had tested positive who worked in the ICU.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Stay with H&N and your H&N digital platforms for continuing coverage of the coronavirus pandemic. Until then, have a